we got to make sure that we treat you good before we come big and say, hey man, help us out, So so we definitely appreciate that. And you've been around 10 years now, I don't know how you stay so young, look so young all the time, but you were very young when you started, and so we just want you to really share with our members tonight some things that you may have on your mind, some things that they want to know. At the end of this, I'm gonna stop the recording, and then they're gonna be able to ask some questions, and we're just gonna have a good old time for the next 45 minutes. But what we want to start is where it started. What made you say yes? How did you find out about myEcon? How did you get into myEcon on this journey?
It is amazing. My son was playing football, and I was on the football field one day watching my son play football, and there was another father there by the name of Bo, whose son also played football as well. And as I was standing there watching my son play, Bo was talking to two other dads about financial literacy. And at that point, I was going through some financial hiccups. I had a lot of debt. I had no investments. I was struggling. I was borrowing from Paul to pay Peter. I was borrowing from my credit cards. I had creditors calling my job. It was a terrible, terrible state of affairs for my finances. And so I kind of listened to what Bo was saying to those two other dads. And when he finished talking to them, I pulled him to the side and I asked him, I said, hey, I heard your conversation. I didn't mean to, be interrupting your situation, but I was wondering, do you teach this to people? Because I need the help that you were talking about. And he said, yes, I do. He said, come by my house. I'll show you the strategies and I'll go ahead and give you a plan to help you become debt free. And so I went by his house. He did a presentation and he wrote on the board and showed me different strategies. And literally, once he finished that presentation, every single strategy that he was talking about fit the financial situations that I was going through. And so what I was doing wasn't working. I knew that if I tried something else, it had to be better than what I was doing. They say insanity is doing the same old thing, expecting different results. And listen, I was tired. In fact, I was sick and tired of my financial situation. So I said, what do I have to lose? And I'm so happy and honored that I made the decision to join this powerful company that has literally changed my life.
Okay. All right. Well, I tell you, I can understand that. Um, and isn't that amazing? Fathers talking to fathers out on the football field. And I can tell you, I know all these sons, they dwarf me and Keith and their fathers now. They all 6'2", 6'3". They big old men now. They ain't boys no more, right? And so that's an amazing story. They've all grown up and just so that's what it's all about. That's what myEcon is all about. See, myEcon is about helping people change their life, and there is 100 million plus people in this country right now that's in that boat. You know, literally, we all know people today. Every one of us on this phone know people that they struggling financially. They got
Yes.
bad credit, bad finances, bad habits, not enough cash flow. Now, all of them aren't like Keith, open and searching and wanting to learn, but they are in that situation. So you got in. I'm assuming that Bo just started to tell you a lot of great things right off the way, Ray. So what would you say would be the one strategy that he showed you that really started making changes for you, that took your that kind of took you from that place of I don't know what to do, I'm in a mess, to I'm getting something done?
Definitely the credit repair. My credit back then, believe it or not, was a 520. I had poor credit. And let me tell you a story. It's funny now. I can laugh at it now, but back then it wasn't funny. But I went to the car dealership with my 520 credit score, and they ended up telling me that the only car that I was approved for was a neon. And it was one of those automatic neons. This one is that I had to manually roll down the windows. So it was one of those old school neons. But because my credit score was a 520, they end up giving me an interest rate of 29%. 29%. So when I looked at the paperwork, the payoff was double the amount that they financed the car for. And so poor credit can put you in a position where you buy something once, but end up paying for it 2 or 3 times over. And so when I dive into this amazing credit system, I realized a couple of things. One, if I realized that if an item is inaccurate, outdated, or unverifiable, those things can either be removed, updated, or corrected on my credit report. I had a whole lot of those items on my credit report. So I started utilizing the strategies, started utilizing the letters, and I was able to get a lot of things removed. I was able to build my credit, and I went from a 520 credit score to an 804 in less than a year. Now, here's what's powerful about that. Now, when I went back to the car dealership, I was able to go in there and not get a 29% interest rate. I was able to go in there and they offered me a 0% interest rate because my credit score was way better than poor. So that system is absolutely amazing. The letters absolutely work. And I'm telling you, it has definitely been a life-changing thing for me and my family with this credit repair.
All right, that's amazing, And when I, when I just, when I hear that story, it just validates everything that we do in myEcon because, and some of you on this call, on this Zoom, you've had this happen, and you're going to have it happen again if you're talking to people. They'll say, yeah, but those, that's kind of slow, just, fixing my credit or changing my W-4. And and sometimes if I'm on a playful mood, I say, well, what else you got to do you in such a big hurry for, But if I'm being serious, then I'll try to explain to them. I say, yeah, but what you don't understand is when you fix this credit, it's going to shift 50, 60, 70, even $100,000 back in your pocket that you was going to spend and give to creditors because of your poor credit you know and when you combine that thing with some of our other strategies, I mean, it's pretty amazing. So what other strategies did you use? Any other strategies when you got started other than the credit? What else did you use?
Yes, I used the W-4 strategy. My W-4 was absolutely incorrect. I had no idea how to fill that W-4 out. It's true what they say. They say 80% of Americans have no idea how to fill that W-4 form out. I was absolutely one of those Americans. So my W-4 was filled out incorrect. I was able to learn the strategies, adjust it, and was able to pick up an extra $400 a month in my household without going to get a part-time job. I was also able to utilize the investment strategies. Before I thought investing was putting my money into a savings account or a checking account, but then I started learning from you about companies like T. Rowe Price, Fidelity, Vanguard, where I can get my money to start working for me instead of me working for the money. And then another strategy was multiple streams of income. Listen, I only had one stream of income, it was my job. And I tell people all the time, one stream of income is too close to none. You need to have multiple streams of income during these days and time because you never know. Your job can downsize, outsource, or they can go in bankrupt where they just end up letting go of all the employees. You just never know when you need another stream of income. So it's highly important that you get multiple streams of income in these days and time.
All right. Okay. That's good. So lowering your credit got you more cash flow, and then you started to building your business. You changed your W-4, and I always say, that when you start using the strategies, recruiting automatically happens, and here's why I say that is because what happens is when you have success, it breeds more success. So you change your W-4, you pick up extra $400 a month. You're excited about that. So when you're talking to somebody, they get excited and they like, man, that's good. Bam, you see? Versus trying to sell something to somebody that you've never experienced, you don't know anything about, you just in it. And so I think that's probably one of the things that propelled you to quick success in
Yes.
myEcon is you used the strategies,
Yes.
we always say strategize your way to a millionaire, you
Yes.
know. Strategizing is way better than just working alone. You can keep, we want to work, but we want to strategize too. We want to work smart, right? So that just
Yes,
makes some of them. That's good. So let me ask you this. You talked about building your business or whatever there. So what tool in the myEcon system, worked really great for you? Or, let me say it another way. Well, out of all the tools we got, Pat, we got a big back office. We got
yes.
all kinds of stuff back there. What do you think one of the things that myEcon members sometimes overlook and more people should probably use it?
I would definitely say the cash flow strategist. Listen, the cash flow strategist is a tool that literally builds you a financial game plan to help you become debt free, but it also puts you in a position to be able to tell you when you can retire. And listen, that tool literally helped me eliminate over $100,000 of debt in just 1 year. Now, notice I said the word eliminate, not consolidate. I was able to eliminate over $100,000 of debt utilizing that tool. Now, here's the power in that. That debt, when I eliminated it, and allowed me to get another $2,400 a month coming into my household because before that, that $2,400 a month was going to the creditors. But because I eliminated that debt, that $2,400 a month is now coming to my pocket. Now, when you look at that times 12 for a whole year, that's over $28,000 that's coming into my household every single year. Now, that's a part time job for some people. Now, that's beautiful for me because I didn't have to go out and get a job to get that money. I was able to do that by simply eliminating the debt that was causing me so much headache. And I always tell people that when you're debt free, you're stress free. And when you're debt free, you're worry free. And I'm
There
telling
you
you,
go.
I'm stress free.
Well, I tell you, I see why they say you're such a nice guy now. You're a happy. He's a happy guy, isn't he? I mean, he is happy. But hey, you knock $100,000 off of a person's shoulder, that'll kind of make you happy, won't it? So we just congratulate you on that, Keith. And hey, if
Thank
there's
you.
anybody out there can relate to what he's saying, paying off debt, getting that cash flow, give us some hearts or some fireballs down in the chat box, down there in that chat box. Let's see what's going on. So that's amazing. So I guess what you're saying is you took some of the money when you changed your W-4, you got that cash, you started to building your business, you got that, so you could just knock that debt right out.
Yes, yes. And I was very, very intentional about eliminating my debt because I wanted to be completely debt free because it was just causing me too much stress. Every day I'm going to work and worrying about collectors calling my job. I said, I have to break this chain and break this cycle. And I was able to do that thanks to myEcon and their powerful strategies that they teach.
All right, that is fantastic, man. That's great. That's what it's all about. So, you said you were building your business. What's the best strategy you've used to build your business?
So when I first got involved with myEcon, I was utilizing the kneecap to kneecap strategy. I was doing presentations at people's homes. I was driving around the country doing presentations at people's houses. I, that definitely still works. I tell people all the time, do not neglect that strategy. That kneecap to kneecap is very powerful because it gives you a chance to build a relationship with people. But now I've also added to my portfolio social media. Listen, there are so many social media platforms out there, such as Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, that gives you the ability to not just talk to 1, 10, 100 people, you have the ability to talk to millions of people. You see, when I was driving that car, let's say, for example, I was driving to Philly, it would be a 2 hour drive. I had to do the presentation, that might be an hour, and then I got to drive back. That's literally 5 hours of my time. Well, I can talk to 5, 10 people on social media in just less than an hour. In fact, less than 20 minutes using the power of social media. So social media has been a huge asset to me. I literally post every single day about myEcon because I believe in it. See, when you really believe in something and you're committed to it, you're going to talk about it. See, I eliminated that. That's something I talk about. I was able to increase my cash flow with my W-4. I talk about that. I was able to fix my credit. I talk about that. I was able to build my investment portfolio. I talk about that. I'm able to cash flow 6 figures part time without getting a part time job. So I am very, very excited about myEcon. Not only am I in myEcon, my econ's in me.
All right. Hey, that's what it's all about. Hey, guys and ladies, I can tell you about that. That's great. That's great. So I think from what I'm seeing, and I've been around marketing now for 46 years. I think if people will use the strategies, be thankful for how the strategies start to change their life and get passionate about what you do.
Yes, yes,
Get passionate about it. Get some conviction. Talk about it. Hey, the world can be your playground. You can get anything you want. You just got to get passionate about it. And I think one of the things that hold a lot of people up is that when they start to change, they have unrealistic expectations. They've
yeah,
been you
yes,
know they go to all these companies where they hear somebody talking about John Doe's making 50,000 a month. Maybe, probably not, but let's say he is. Okay, you're not John Doe, right? You don't know what John Doe did to get there, right? And
yes,
so they don't have an appreciation for $400 a month by changing your W-4, so they don't think it's a big deal. But it's a big deal
yes,
because if you put that $400 a month to work, bam, your debt's going down every month. You're saving interest payments every month. And then you lower your credit score, you refinance, you raise your credit score and refinance. See, when you get passionate about that, your success is going to compound. Just
yes,
like bad things compound, well, good things compound, right? And so you get all these things happening simultaneously. The credit's going up, the cash flow's going up, the debt's going down. All of this stuff is coming together, and you start having tremendous success. And Keith, you and Cheyenne, for those of you who don't know, that's his wife's name. They are perfect examples of this. Perfect examples of this. See, some people, it took them, and I think I've heard you talk about this, Keith. It took them, you know, 10 years to create a financial mess.
yes,
But now they're looking for a 1 month solution to their financial mess. It don't
yes,
work that way.
yes.
It just doesn't work that way. So you got to be a little patient there. So, okay, we got a couple more things here that we've got to ask you. So let me ask you this. Most people experience this. I don't know if you did or not. How do you stay motivated when others around you are not supportive and motivated? Do you ever have any of that where you just felt like you didn't have the support you should have had or the motivation? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, a couple things help me to stay motivated in my econ. Number one, I always remember my why. Why did I get started? And so I put my why on the mirror. So every morning when I wake up, that's the first thing I see. Why did I get started? I got started for a reason. I wanted to make sure that I build generational wealth for my children and my children's children. I wanted my kids to see that financial freedom is real and it's the truth. So the first thing was I had to build a why. The second thing is I invest heavily in personal growth and self-development. I'm always looking at different videos to help motivate me. I read books such as My First Year in Network Marketing by Mark Darnell, Think and Grow Rich, Who Moved My Cheese. There are several books out there that can really give you a mindset change. The third thing is I help my downline succeed. It's not about me, it's about them. It's I don't come in there with no boss mentality. It's about because at the end of the day, most people join network marketing to get rid of a boss, not to pick up a new one. So I don't come in there with a boss mentality. I come in there with how can I help you? The next thing I tell people is you got to stay committed. I said it earlier, not only am I in my econ's in me. Everywhere I go, I'm talking about my econ. If I hear you talking about you having credit problems, if I hear you say you're in debt, if I hear you need multiple streams of income, I'm going to open my mouth because a closed mouth can't get fed. Next, consistency. This is very hard for people because you got to continually talk about my econ when you feel like it and when you don't feel like it. See, not every day I wake up where it's like, I'm excited. I got to make sure I look at those personal growth and self-development every day so that I can stay motivated so I can help people be successful. So consistency is important. Another thing is collaboration. Iron sharpens iron. I make sure I stay around people like you, Mr. Stokes, that's going to give me motivation, that's going to tell me that, hey, Keith, you might need to change this up a little bit. I need collaboration. I need like-minded people that's going to hold my hand and lead me to the right direction. And there's no better person than everybody than Mr. Stokes, because he's been with me the whole way. We've done a lot of trips together. He's come to my area and spoke to my people. So it's just definitely been a blessing. And then last but not least, I tell people, you got to make sure that you always, always, always take a look at your business every single day. And one of the worst things you can do is not open up your website. You know, people let days go by, weeks go by, years go by before they even look at their website. You got to look at your website and see and know your business. You got to study your craft, because guess what? There's a lot of people out there that's going to try to sell you on their business. And I tell you this, the grass is not always green on the other side. It's just your grass can be just as green if you take time to water it.
All right. I like that. Absolutely. You know, I tell you, hey, water your own grass, right? That's amazing. Absolutely. You know, I tell you, I know sometimes, people, they're around people that are not supportive, when, they're not in the business, and they'll say, side things like, well, you always talking about that business, and as if that's a bad thing, and I'm a very nice person, but I kind of got a little rough side too, and, and when somebody say that around me, I'm like, you always talking about some foolishness. So, quit talking about the business if you quit talking foolishness, and we'll be happy together. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to keep talking about this business, right? So, that's really exciting. I've watched you grow, Keith, over the years. Just building your business. I've watched you be consistent. And So what are some of your financial goals? And I'm sure that as goal oriented as you and Cheyenne are, you guys have kind of envisioned where you want to go or some things that you want to do. Over the next 5 to 10 years, what's some things you'd probably like to do?
Yeah, so one of the things we talk about all the time, we want to definitely move and become homeowners again. So that's one of my main goals, is to become a homeowner within the next 1 to 2 years. Number two, we want to definitely put more money into our investment portfolio so that our money works for us instead of us always working for the money. We want to one day come over that job. Even though I love that job, I've been there in my job 21 years. But I do definitely want to get in a position where my money's working for me instead of me working for the money. And then we're right now we're completely debt free. We don't have any debt. But I also want to get in a position where I get my children into a situation where they're completely debt free as well. My son is going to Morehouse. I want to make sure that I put him in a position where his schooling is paid off completely in full, so you never have to worry about how he's going to pay his college. So that's one of my main goals, but those are my goals for the next 1 to 5 years. And I know myEcon has the ability to help me do that.
All right. Yes, sir. We can absolutely get that done. I say it every day. We're in a multi-trillion-dollar industry. We're in the best industry in America. Financial education, plus travel, plus, I guess you can call it personal protection with the ID Defender, but just travel and financial education is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. It's only going to grow.
Yes.
So all we got to do is continue to grow and, just get better at helping people. And that's what we have every intention of doing here in myEcon. Keith, it's been just a pleasure having the ability, just this sharing, having you share with a lot of our myEcon members, what's on your heart, some of the accomplishments that you've been able to do and to accomplish, you and Cheyenne, since you've been here at myEcon. And, so what I'd like for you to do is just take a minute, 2 minutes, whatever, something that you would just like to share, to advise, to encourage, motivate, whatever, with something you just want to say to all myEcon members and future members everywhere. We're listening. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I just want to tell everyone, do not give up. I shared this before. There are 4 seasons of success. If you keep these 4 seasons in mind, you can really have some great success in myEcon. So if you're taking notes, go ahead and write this down. I always say that note takers are money makers. So again, note takers are money makers. So the first season of success is the season of preparation. In order to be successful in myEcon, you have to be prepared. So you asked me, how can I be prepared for success in myEcon? Well, the first thing is you got to make sure that you go ahead and get your business cards, your brochures. You got to make sure you have information that when people are asking you what myEcon's about, you have something to give them. You also got to prepare yourself for the word no. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I hear no still to this day, and you're going to hear no. But realize no means next one, or sometimes they don't know enough to move forward. They just need a little bit more information. So that's the first season. You just got to understand the first season, the season of preparation. The second season is the season of planting. You have to plant seeds and you have to plant them consistently. Silent success won't be successful alone. Keep that in mind. So, how do you plant seeds? Now that you got business cards and brochures, you got to start handing them out to people. You also got to make sure that you're posting on social media every single day, not just one day a week, every single day, because social media is your resume. People want to know that if this business works and if it's real and if you're a real person. So social media gives you the opportunity to do that. Now, let me tell you, when you plant seeds, every time you plant them, they're not going to always be on good ground. Some days you're going to plant on good ground, some days you're going to plant on bad ground, but you will never be able to tell that. You just got to keep planting seeds. Many people think those seeds are going to grow overnight. Building a successful business happens over time, not overnight. Many people want to go from the pit to the palace in 24 hours. It don't work like that. And so you just got to plant seeds and plant them consistently. The third season is the season of pruning. The season of pruning. Sometimes you have to separate in order to elevate. Now, this season is very hard for many people because this is a season where you got to cut some people off. The Bible says life and death is in the power of the tongue. And if you hang around people long enough, they may speak death into your business and have you start to quit. Do you know that the word no has caused so many people to give up on their dreams and goals? So you got to cut some people off. Not only do you got to cut people off, ladies and gentlemen, you got to cut excuses off. See, so many of us will make so many excuses not to show up to meetings like this or to show up at meetings at the hotels. It's raining, it's snowing. But if our job called us in during the rain or snow, guess what we're going to do? We're going to drive. And guess what? You're building someone else's asset when you go to a job. Why won't you do the same thing for an asset that's yours, which is myEcon? And then the last and final season, ladies and gentlemen, as I close, is the season of prosperity. This is a season that everyone looks forward to because this gives you the opportunity to spend the money that you have made in this amazing business opportunity. But what I want to tell you is be careful in this season because sometimes we forget to invest back into our business and invest into investments that's going to make us more money. Sometimes we spend money on things that's liabilities instead of putting money in assets. So be careful in those seasons. So those 4 seasons are going to help you be successful. And another thing that's very important is accountability. Make sure you get yourself an accountability partner that's going to hold your hand and hold you accountable to your success. See, I have Mr. Stokes, I have Bo, I have Mr. Spencer the Camper that's hold my hand and hold me accountable for my success. Make sure you have that accountability partner. And just like Mr. Stokes says, I go to the gym all the time, and sometimes I can lift a weight maybe 5 or 10 times. But when I have that partner behind me, that accountability partner, sometimes I can go ahead and lift that 15, 20 times. So when you have an accountability partner, they can push you to the limit. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has definitely been a pleasure. myEcon is definitely the greatest business out there. 20 years, A+ rating, debt-free company. That's huge right there, ladies and gentlemen. You can't be part of nothing better than that. And I tell you, we have no better leader than Mr. Stokes, who takes time out of his busy schedule to help us all succeed. I just want to say thank you, Mr. Stokes, in front of everybody for everything that you've done to help me have the success I had in myEcon thus far.
All right. Hey, I tell you, that is amazing. Nobody can say it better. Let's give him a ton of loves and fireballs right down there in the chat box. Let's light it up. Man, that is tremendous. You know, I tell you, um, I always say people build companies. Companies don't build people. People build companies, you know? And Keith, you have been a big part of building myEcon, not just your team, but your success, your testimonies, and that's what it's all about. And we got a lot of our great leaders out there tonight just listening. And you know, and without all of our great members and leaders around the country, myEcon wouldn't be what it is today. And I just want to remind all of you one more time, we're just getting started.
Yes.
The
Yes.
market is bigger than it's ever been. The ability to build is easier and faster than it's ever been. So get on board and let's go do something amazing.